Oh.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Humanity Ascendant Debrief session number 6. Today we're going to be talking about the last event that we ran before the pandemic kicked in, which was Op6 Ascension. Dave's going to have a run through the bureaucrat class, a few examples of sort of starting characters and why you choose to play a bureaucrat. And then it doesn't say it on here, but we've also got some talk. We're going to talk about player selected missions, our players actually select missions, and how the council works as well, and a bit behind the scenes, behind the curtain of what the council actually do in between the events, which I think Alex might say, oh, don't show them that. But yeah, I think we're just going to have a one-off sort of look behind the curtain and see what you can look forward to if you were elected as a council member.
I was just going to say, I'm the leak, though. It's probably Dave that shouted at me for leaking stuff from the council.
Fair dues, fair dues.
Yes.
Okay. So the event took place on 6th September 2019, Op6, in our regular site now at Giant Seat. As it stands at the moment, all the events, like the last event this year, or the next event, should I say, the September event, and the events next year at the moment will be at Giant Seat. That may change if the player count goes significantly up, and subject to us looking at a couple of our sites. I must admit I'm quite tempted by the Grange, James, from what I've seen, and I'll find out what that's like when we go to Lazarus and your event and what have you.
On an offside, I think you would find it too small potentially.
Right, okay, fair
But
dues.
again,
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear your viewpoint, but I think you might find it a bit small. It's certainly smaller than Giant Seat.
No, we'll certainly have a look at it anyway.
But it depends on the kind of event you're running for, but that's something we could talk about off list.
Yeah. Okay, so Op6 and the story. So after the uprising, they removed the old Ascendant Council. There were a few complications in that uprising, in that the rioting and the rebellion that happened inside the bunker, while the players were dealing with events on top of the bunker and dealing with the enforcement squads, etc., accidentally heavily damaged the nanite production facility. And the issue now is the bunker's only outputting about 10-20% of its nanite production. And should the bunker come under significant attack, or should certain parties become aware that they've got this issue where they can't readily replenish their medical supplies, the medical nanites, ammo nanites, all that kind of thing, that basically bunker Ascendant will be in real trouble. If those supplies run out while it's under attack, for instance, people will start to die, and it's a real problem. So the council have been addressing that, and Op6 was the start of starting to address that. They recovered some Fortitude defectors, who offered intel on cutting off the head from the attacks on the Ascendant tribe territory, so trying to push bunker Fortitude back, so like sort of like just saying leave us alone, give us a little bit of breathing room, and a new hive foe was revealed. Another hive, but that's sort of more or less where the similarities end. Very different in how they operate and the types of sort of creatures, sort of the abominations that are developed to Hive Apollo. And the players are having to deal with that and come up with the tactics and strategies all over again. So the goals of the event are basically search for a new source of nanite production supply, beat back Bunker Fortitude by smashing their forward command ability, and encounter and survive a new hive threat. But on top of all this, they're also discovering a new facility, the DAL facility, which was a repository of national and global knowledge. And with that came a very odd AI, played mainly by Chris Jones. Basically had a hologrammatic form within the facility itself, and then would come over the radios and stuff like that as well, and that was quite interesting. So a couple of pics there. So on the left there we've got Chris in his sort of Dahl form. We've got one of the sort of upper classes of the new High Fortitude assailants. The power armor for Bunker Fortitude in the middle there. A few other players in their rad kits. They had to travel through a heavy rad zone. And Becky there in the corner playing her augment, dealing with the recovered skull, which was heavily cyborg modified, and digging into that skull to retrieve things from within.
It was Jen, not Becky.
Oh, it's Jen, sorry, Becky. So main hooks then, lots of fun with DALs, a hologram AI. We used custom VR Minecraft levels to access files within the AI and dealing with sass and sarcasm. I said Chris had a lot of fun with this. I think one of the highlights for me was I had a lot of fun on one of the missions. DAL sort of took over the radio, and rather than them getting their information from the drone operator, and like the bunker command, they're actually getting information from Dahl himself, and he were commenting on things, having a bit of an argument with the lead engineer and things like that off the radio. Is very entertaining.
He's broken. Don't listen to
him. A very role-play, problem-solving murder mystery mission, which, there's a picture there on the left of that, which, was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. And then discovering how to deal with a new high threat with some really nice props and tasks to boots, like this skull that they actually go in to dig into it, cut it open and things like that, and a few other sort of nice things to deal with. So for this event, the Greats, it's the Murder Mystery Mission by Chris and Duff. The player feedback was one of the best LARP missions I've ever been on, including soldiers that never even fired a shot on it. I mean, Ian Wyatt, people know Ian Wyatt as an ex-soldier himself. He just loves being out in the field and shooting things, doing his recon things, sneaking about. He went on this mission, didn't fire a single shot, wandered about, finding QR codes, tracks, things like that, helping them solve the mystery, and thought it was one of the best adventures he's ever been on. Anybody else want to comment about the murder mystery mission?
Yeah, 100%. I just went on to make up the numbers, but I reckon you should run that mission every event.
Nice.
just put different people on it. They don't need to know. I know who the murderer is. Just run it again.
So we had you saw the corpse sort of hanging from the tree. We had that was something different actually, but we had people going into digging the corpse out of the ground, finding all the kit, talking to the tribes people and figuring out who'd done what, and it was just such a lot of fun. And then Dahl, I think this was Chris's sort of baby, and he came up with a real sort of interesting concept here, and it was, put a lot of thought into the background on it, and also the props, the costume. We actually had like a hologram sort of platform we stood on. We had a LED sort of lighting system at the top, which made it, light shine and made it look a little bit more like a hologram. And it just, it was really, really good. I think the players really enjoyed that as well. And he's sort of a part of the recurring campaign now, because they're operating out of the Dahl facility, so he'll be there again in the next event. And I think other things, lots more props, barricades outside the hub, for instance. You see a picture there. Chris and Duff knocked a load of these up, which just really helped with the feel, getting more and more into the feel of the game, and also just much better for doing the outpost defense type things as well. So not so great. We had an issue with one of the missions where the QR codes, for whatever reason, were really out of whack, and it would just really put poor QA on our part, to be fair. But the problem was exacerbated by the fact that they were having to solve some of these QR code issues while under fire, and that created a lot of tension for the players and like a bit of sort of out of character panic. We were able to resolve it, but it wasn't a good thing. I think the learning from that for us is that we're checking all QR codes and double checking them now. We're getting the prep for the QR codes done quite a way ahead of time now as well, several weeks ahead. And we've got methods, like the write-up for the missions. The QR codes are numbered within those now as well, so you can double check that the right QR codes are going exactly where they need to go. I think it was a significant learning for us, it's better QA to go with the better props and the better setup and everything will put us in really good stead for Op7. Just a few more pictures there. So we got the VR being used in the top left, and just a few players out on adventure. Just a really good event. Anybody want to add out?
Just say, always take a selfie.
Yeah. Always take a selfie. Yeah, you've got your phones. Use them and abuse them. That's what they're there for. It's good to get your phone out, take some pictures of cool stuff. It really helps us as well. So on to Dave then to talk about the bureaucrat class.
Yeah. So, the bureaucrat class is, at first glance, it probably seems like the least attractive of many of the classes at Humanity Ascendant. All the others are very the name tells you what this class does. Whereas with the bureaucrat, you really need to take a look a bit more deeper, go past the name and take a look at their skills and their archetypes to get a real feel for it. I must admit, from a personal point of view, I didn't really look at the Crat class. It wasn't something I was particularly intending to play until I went through the rules review and then have since written this. That they're probably the most diversified character class in the game, with so many options and different ways that can be played. So, why would you want to play a bureaucrat? Oh, and that's a shout out to Alison, who is our chief holder of pencils and coloured pens. She plays a bureaucrat, but yeah, she has all of the coloured pens in the bunker in a bag. So if you want a coloured pen, you have to ask her. Why would you play one? They are essentially the glue that holds everything together. No class in Humanity Ascendant, no class can operate independently, but the bureaucrats really tie project teams, mission teams, diplomacy, everything. They bring everything together and they form a catalyst that can really enhance the speed at which things can happen for players. If you want to be involved from a game influence point of view, if you want to be out there on the front lines talking to the tribal leaders, the new factions, the traders that might visit, then generally speaking, people will call for a bureaucrat to come and be involved in that situation. And so you get to see a lot of the big picture plot going on. Like I said, if you want to be involved in group projects and know what the engineers and scientists are up to, every single successful project that's been run in Humanity Ascendant has had some bureaucratic input, regardless of what it is, whether it was building railguns, designing a nanite enhanced armor, researching into how to kill some crazy psionic witch lady. Everything has had bureaucrat input. So from that point of view, again, you get to see a lot more of what goes on in the game than potentially you would in isolation. And making trade deals, a whole bunch of missions and full operations would be much more difficult if the bureaucrats weren't there to go, oh, we've used all of our med patches, or we're out of medical nanites, we need to get some from somewhere, let's use our skills, etc., to bring that to fix those gaps in the pre-event planning from a player standpoint. I will say they don't always go to plan, these trade deals, and when you turn up to an event, just ask people about the rabbit. I'm saying no more. Yeah. Next slide, please. So there's a couple of things regarding the bureaucrat class. They have the most amount of skills in their general pool of any other class, and it verifies in the way that they can be played very differently. So the first thing, and this cannot be undersold how useful this is. So other than radios, players are not permitted to communicate with each other using their smartphones. So no using Facebook Messenger, no sending people Snapchats with like, oh, we're all dying, or anything like that. You can't do that unless you are a bureaucrat. And bureaucrats have their own independent channel through their pads that allows them to communicate with other bureaucrats. So if the person with the radio gets taken down, or for whatever reason people get separated, bureaucrats can talk to other bureaucrats, regardless of whether they're in a mission hub like the Outpost or the Dahl Institute, on a mission itself, in the bunker. It doesn't matter. They can all talk to each other, which is awesome and has been very useful in certain scenarios. So on to the actual the skills you spend points on. Contacts. This is the most important skill and probably the only skill that you will see every bureaucrat take. This is what the core of the class, and this is essentially how you reach out to your predetermined network of people to get resources, information, ask for help, things like that. You can do so much with this skill, and this skill not only reflects people with inside the bunker, but as the game world expands, you'll be able to build contacts within the Stricken, within the 500 on the surface, with any other potential groups, Bunker Fortitude. There are so many options to expand on your contact base. Drone transport. So we're out at the Dahl Institute. It's probably about 4 to 5 hours to walk there from Bunker Ascendant, if not longer, through a rad zone. So if we're like, oh, we need to build a new radar antenna. Ah, we didn't bring any engineering salvage with us. Oh, cack. Let's get some from Bunker Fortitude.
Bunker Ascendant, you mean?
Bunker
Traitor.
Ascendant or Bunker Fortitude, depending on who your contacts are. That could be 5 to 6 hours away if they're going to have to run it here with people. So instead, there are, as well as the kind of surveillance drones that Bunker Ascendant and Bunker Fortitude employ to assist their forces in the field, there are also drone transports, which are much heavier and they don't have the same sensitive sensor and camera equipment, but they can carry various loads of things around the place and bring it to you. So if we do need something quick, only bureaucrats that have the drone transport skill can get it delivered to us within an hour or so normally, depending on what they're asking for. Salvage. Bureaucrat salvage is a bit different to the salvage from the other two classes. So you can look around, it's like, ooh, that looks like a busted old laptop. That's probably engineering salvage. Or that looks like a damaged gun. Or some old ammunition clips. Or a part of a missile. Obviously, that could be some kind of military salvage. But cat salvage is more abstract. It's people like stuff. So whether it's banned T-shirts from pre-fall, or whether it's Twinkie bars that are still edible, or whether it's maybe something from the tribes like a tribal symbol or a fur pelt or something. People, it's much like modern times. People like to buy random crazy stuff, and things become collectible and of various interest. And this allows you to identify those niche value items that could potentially be used to trade in other ways. They're not immediately useful. You can't upgrade a gun with a toy duck, for example.
Why not?
I mean, you can put a duck on a gun. It's not going to make it do anything. So yeah, but you can then trade that to someone who might have like a new scope for your gun, for example. So cat salvage is a bit more, you see some very interesting things come up under cat salvage. Hub access. So this is more, if you're less about physical things and helping in a physical way, hub access grants you information access to the restricted class locations of the other careers. So if you suspect the head engineer is up to no good, and you want to know what he's telling all of his engineers to do on the side, then you can take a quick peek inside their information network and go, this crazy guy's telling them to shoot all bureaucrats on site. Or they've got secret missions where they're trying to find these resources that they don't want anyone else to have access to. That you can gain access to all of that type of information. Or if, for example, you don't have an engineer with you and you want to get access to that information quickly, you can also utilize it in that way. Just as I mentioned there, it's not strictly legal to do that inside the confines of Bunker Ascendant. So some people don't really care about that kind of stuff. Other people might chuck you in a jail cell. And we don't have jail cells anymore, so that just gets you exiled onto the surface. So a lot of what you will notice looking at the cat skills is that there are a lot of things that require other skills to be able to be used. Primarily, it's contacts or drone transport. It's enhancements to those skills. So tradecraft is very, very good. So that allows for things like science research projects, engineering builds that are being like new things, prototypes. It allows a bureaucrat to essentially make it more efficient. So say, for example, something requires 4 military salvage, and the GMs have determined that because it's just 4 random bits of military salvage. What a bureaucrat can do is they can reduce that down to 3, because what they essentially do is the engineers say, yeah, we want to build this super doodad Mega 35 annihilator cannon. We need 4 military salvage. And he goes, actually, you just need these other 3 more specialized parts that will work instead. So they can reduce it by 25%. There is a small credit cost as they're greasing the various trade wheels to gain access to that, but it really helps with salvage resource management on projects. Negotiator, this one's really good. So this one is if you...
Just on that, that's how bureaucrats can also make a bit of money.
Yeah.
So they might say, give me 100 credits and I'll do this for you, engineer, and it might only cost them actually 20 credits to do it. And that's how you often see bureaucrats have got loads of money.
They do have some more money by doing things like that. Yeah.
And
That
some of them do use that sort of benefit quite altruistically to buy up supplies when people are running short and donate them to missions and things like that. So
for
it's
trade,
not suggesting you have to do that at all. Some don't, but it's just that, you do have a lot of power and influences. If you're working well as a bureaucrat with some of these skills, you do have a lot of power and influence, definitely.
Yeah. So negotiator, that allows you to buy. So normally you can buy things within your own class for cheaper, but negotiate allows you to buy things that are all general items cheaper. And if you are to sell items that have a value in the in the game guide, you sell them back at a higher percentage of the price for credits. And deal maker, this is another salvage management one, which is really, really handy. Again, coupled with, it's another good way to make money. It allows you to trade 3 for 2. So if you have, example there, if you've got a teddy bear, an old book, and a Led Zeppelin t-shirt, you might be able to trade it for a broken scope and some bullets, that will help with military projects. So it really does, again, it makes, as I said at the start of this, if you want to get involved in lots of projects and know what all the other classes are doing to keep the bigger picture, all these skills allow you little peeks behind the curtains of the other character classes. I've only covered those. There are a ton more in the general pool, but a lot of them there's armored drones and heavy drones that give you increased security on your drone drops and make your drones able to carry more stuff. There's further expansions on your contacts network to give you access to more restricted, more of the restricted items for different
higher level contacts. So like the basic contacts only lets you contact non-specialized up to rank 3, but then you get the one that lets you go all the way up to rank 4, 5. Yep. Everybody with non-council members. So depending what sort of information or expertise you want in, that higher level skill could be really, really powerful.
Yep. So we'll go on to a couple of the starting builds next. And then I did realize there was a slide input in which talks about the 3 specializations, but I will cover that off separately. So this is the mission support bureaucrat. So if you want to go out with the teams and take a look at what's going on in the world as a starting Crat, then this is probably what you want. Obviously, every single one of these builds has contacts, because in my mind, you really you'll struggle to engage with the bureaucrat game very well. You'll be relying on the other bureaucrats for connection into their networks, and they might not provide that service for free, or they might alter the information you receive back when you're doing that. So for me, contacts is pretty key. This one provides firearms trained and salvage. So you can identify the stuff of value in the real world, and it gives you the option of shooting back, which, as I've said before, if you can hit a guy with a pistol and only do 2 damage, doesn't matter, because it means that guy ain't firing back at you for 3 seconds. So it can be clutch, but it's not necessarily required for crats. Next slide. So this is more on the path of to become the salvage master. So you would take contact, salvage, and deal maker. So this allows you to, again, this one allows you to find things of value in the field and then trade them, with people inside the bunker for more appropriate resources. So this is the one where, if you want to be able to help people have the right salvage at the right time, this is the kind of the starting build for you. But you don't have guns, and you'll see that with a few of the starting Crat classes, that those, as with scientists, are one of the few where guns don't necessarily form part of your early build. We have one bureaucrat for sure who doesn't use a weapon and has never used a weapon. They carry a knife, and I don't think I've ever seen them stab anyone with it. So
she's very good at healing people in the field, though, and helping out with people.
Yes, they have different roles. Just because you don't have a gun doesn't mean you're not useful. But yeah, it's one of the few classes where it's not necessarily compulsory or advised to take a gun. You can have one if you want. Next one. So this is the supply expert. So this is someone who will be in regular contact with their contacts inside the bunker, and will be you know, as I said, if there's a shortfall in med patches or rad patches, or we've run out of nanites of some description, then these are the people who not only can they get access to that, but they buy it at a cheaper price and they can ship it out to the outpost or the location required at the time. You know, they're the typical, oh, it appears we've run out of med catches. No problem. Let me make a quick call and see what I can do. So, you know, they're a bit more down the path of the wheeler dealer supply expert.
Alex, out of all the events you've been to, how many times have you not had to call in a supply run? I'm guessing it's 0.
It's pretty much 0, but that's because I'm a poor soldier. I spend all my money.
You spend all your money on that massively crazy gun you own.
Yeah. So I'm quite poor comparatively, considering how experienced and how high rank my character is. He doesn't have a lot of money. That's why I got Sam as her bureaucrat, and I'm like, she can have whatever she wants, and she's definitely allowed it. She's even in the soldier Facebook group, even though she's a bureaucrat. You know, that's how much we rely on her.
Yeah.
Next slide.
All right, because that's the bureaucrat class.
Okay.
We've got Alison on. Alison, do you want to tell us about your build and how you play your character a little bit? Don't have to if you don't want to.
I don't know. Is this working for a start? I've never used
yes,
these
we can
before.
hear you, yeah.
I'm guessing not then.
No, we can
Yes,
hear.
it's working, yeah.
Oh, it is. Right, yeah. Well, mine's a bit different because I'm based in. I don't go out on any things.
Yeah, so you're
just
based out of the outpost itself, aren't you?
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah. So it's all of my skills can be. I can limit it to just ones that are useful. As I'm really bad at talking. Can I stop?
That's fine. That's fine. So basically, the way Alison's been doing things is she'll stay at the mission hub. Think of sort of like Gorman from Aliens, but not a soldier, more a bureaucrat, and she'll monitor things, monitor the radio channels, make sure things are like okay at the back at the bunker, communications are all okay, but also works on sort of the admin backup for like organising the missions. And supporting the other bureaucrats and just generally making sure everything's running smoothly for everybody, and gets a kick out of doing it as well.
I was going to say, the other thing that Alison does is she sits and thinks. So when we've covered this scrap of information, I don't think about it ever again. I let somebody else think about it. And Alison's one of the people that has got the time to sit there and go, oh, A plus B might equal C. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Tell me what the answer is. Who do I shoot next?
Yeah, very useful for pulling things together, definitely.
Yeah, from my point of view, it was a piece of the game that we didn't realise we were missing until it was there. It made such a huge difference at the last events. Just having, like Alex said, just someone there coordinating all of the mission briefs, all the information coming back, you know, and if we found stuff on a mission or something came up, we could just fire a question back to Alison and then she can fire it into her contacts within in the bunker, coordinate that information and push it back out again. You know, it was, it blew my mind how we didn't think about having someone doing it before. And now, if Alison ever thinks about not coming to an event, I will drive to hers and Steve's houses and kidnap her because it's not. I'm not playing events without her now. So.
There you go. You want to say hello to that, Ali?
Yeah, it's good.
Sound. Okay. So, talking about that then, so we're going to have a talk about some of the other stuff like that we've not picked up in the other stuff. And
can we just quickly do the 3 specializations?
Oh, sorry, yeah, go on then, yeah.
Because I didn't do a slide from.
Yeah.
So there are, as with all the character classes, once you hit rank 3, you pick your kind of focus as a Crat, and they're all fairly self-explanatory, really. They just kind of double down on some of the early skills that you can gain. And the first one being politician. So this is a lot more kind of people-based skills, expanding your network of contacts as physical people within various organizations and structures. They are, they are the masters of negotiating the complexities of bunker administration and that side of things. The second one is merchant. Again, fairly self-explanatory. It doubles down on things like deal maker, negotiator, the drone supplies. They have access to further those skills down that route. Again, expanding their network. And you can kind of take two approaches to merchant. There's the strictly above board, everything documented, all taxes paid kind of merchant, are very open about what they do. And then there's the black market, which obviously doesn't exist if you ask anyone important. But there is, with any group, significantly large group of people where resources are limited, things will always be traded on the sly. So you can go for that route as well, which gives, it carries risk and reward. You're dealing with people who might have access to more things, but where those things have come from, you might not necessarily want to be asking those kind of questions. And then lastly, which I believe is the direction that Alison's kind of going down, which is info trader, which has a very different style of network. They, rather than being able to influence people, they have people in positions where they can get access to information. So whether it's, again, within different organizations like engineers or scientists, or just, general or other bureaucrats working for various people within the bunker, they are information gathering specialists. And yeah, they're the coordinators of.
They take information rather than asking for it.
They can definitely do that as well. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Sound. We'll move on then. So, like I said, we pulled in the player mission selection stuff and some of the more tactical and strategic stuff that goes on at an event and also between the events, because it seemed bureaucrats do a lot of this work. It's not something that they have to do. It's just something that they've evolved to do. The bureaucrats we've had playing long term have sort of picked this up, and Alison's sort of dove into this role as well. And as Alex said, it is, it's really important. It just makes for a much smoother game experience in character and out of character as well. When we have an event and missions, we basically, Ace will say, once a mission's known about, Ace will say, right, this is a mission that is, relatively unhazardous or hazardous or very hazardous. And he'll also make a recommendation for the composition to go on that mission in terms of numbers, and also the classes that you'll require to be able to stand a good chance of completing that mission successfully. Now, the players can completely ignore that. If Ace turns around and says that you need probably 8 people and it's going to be 4 soldiers and 1 each of the other classes, you could just send 10 soldiers. It's completely up to you. Yeah, but what you're doing there is you're spending your opportunity to send those soldiers on other missions, because players can only do so many missions, and you're probably losing the opportunity to actually find stuff out and do the investigative side of the missions. But you're probably all going to come back alive. We hardly a scratch on you because you just completely overpowered the mission with firepower, which is completely fine. We have no issue with that because the players have planned it that way. So this role sort of organising the players, and it's both players and crew as well. So they dole out the slots and go around to all negotiation, and it's a bit of out of character stuff in it as well. I don't really like the sound of that mission. I think I'd enjoy that one more. And it's really important for the player experience that the players work their way through all this and dole out these missions. And the player council's in place now. They kind of sort of have the unofficial final say. But if players have got an issue with missions being chosen, because obviously we can have a chat with GMs and we'll try and make sure everybody's happy. And generally, we've not had any issues in that regard. But I think it just gives a much better buy-in for the players that they're organising themselves and sending each other on these missions and getting sort of where they want to be. And I think it's worked really well so far. So as I said there, Ace does sort of like an assessment, but from then on, it's down to the players to organise those slots. So we do provide some information to help with the mission, sort of getting in your mind's eye what the mission is going to be about and things like that. One of these is the in-game player map. So you can see on here you've got Bunker Ascendant right up at the top. Bunker Surface Settlement's now been abandoned when the 500 got ejected onto the surface when the engineers failed to prevent the terrorist attack. We've got the new Bunker Settlement down here. We've got Outpost 13, which was the first outpost the players sort of inhabited. Got Fort Leon, which a couple of the events took place in Fort Leon. Fort Leon being named after one of the characters that were killed in combat. And then you've got the new facility, which is the Dahl Institute over here. You've got all the clan area over here. You've got a bit of dead space down here. It's not really occupied by anybody. And then all this space below is the bunker fortitude sort of front line, or where the territories line is drawn. And you got a bit more information that the players have found out as well, like alpha radiation zones. And this zone down here is sort of the subject of the next event. This is a nanite factory that the council is looking to claim for the bunker. So you can see that the bunker's already got quite a spread on the surface. Each of these squares is roughly a kilometre, so you can get a bit of an idea of the scale of the map, what the players sort of have access to at the moment. This will expand, in the months and years to come. But at the moment, there's obviously plenty of entertainment down here within this map. So you will know on the mission that you're travelling from this grid reference to, say, this grid reference, and it'll tell you that grid reference. So you've got an idea of what you're going through. So if it says you're going for an alpha radiation zone, you can obviously prepare for that by getting your gas mask sorted, or getting your nanite resistant patches sorted. So that sort of information is available again, but we don't just tell you that you're going through an alpha radiation zone. We will give you this map, and that's for the players to sort out. We have like a timetable for the event, so everybody's can be pretty well organised and know when lunches can be, things like that. Some missions will be known about prior to the start of the event, so the council will have access to the missions that they're aware of. That the council said, we want to do this, and Dal said, right, okay, not Dal, sorry, Ace says, okay, to achieve this, I think you need to this, this, and this. So we set it out, but there'll be gaps in this timetable. That those gaps will become filled by missions as the players learn more about what's going on over the course of the event. And also what we do allow, if the players want to do something that they think is really important, and it's something that we've not got anything sort of put in place for, we can form sort of mini freeform missions. If you want to go out and get a bit more salvage, it's really short of salvage, or you want to go out and meet a contact, things like that, we will organise that for you on the fly, if obviously GMs and crew are available. So this is just an example of one of the timetables. So this is the actual timetable that you can do for event 7. So you're all aware in character the DAL facility is being retaken by Hive Vulcan, so that needs to be retaken. You need to get the emitters online, which weren't online last time because there are issues with them not being repaired, etc. And then there's a discussion to be had with the 500 on the surface to see how they're doing with the sort of making the new encampment and everything like that. And then there's some missions to do with the actual the Hive Vulcan that are in possession of the nanite factory, and how you're going to deal with that nanite factory, take it into your possession. It's got all your break ties, everything on there. So all that's sort of known, and it just makes it much easier for players to plan the time. And
that second mission, dude, it's pointless. Those emitters can't be fixed.
Yeah, so the lead engineer says.
I promise you, Dahl says they can.
Yeah. So going on then, so we're also moving more towards now player-led event planning. So with the player council now filling in place, now pushing even more for players to decide how the bunker will grow, and that'll mean you're sort of determining what the next event will be about, or 2 events down the line will be about. So for instance, the council at the moment are deciding where to focus their efforts for event 8, whether it'll be on Hive Vulcan or Bunker Fortitude, or to do other things that we've not thought of. They might want to consolidate or go and do some farming or all kinds of things. I knew you were going to say farming, Alex.
Farming.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of things that you can do. As long as we get sufficient notice, we will write the event to suit that. But then other story elements that are ongoing in the background will continue to happen and will influence that event as well. So we're trying to create a sandbox environment that the players really feel that they're having a massive contribution into and leading that sort of sandbox, rather than it just being like a train track that you're on with the GMs and you're just along for the ride. So non-council members can also influence this. Just speak to your council members, whip up in actually debate at the event, use the Discord, get talking going. You can be as involved in this or as not involved as you wish to. As Alex has said many times before, you can rock up and fire a gun at people, or you can, design the device that solves the game, or you can do whatever you want to do, and the GMs will help you along with that. So council membership then, how do you get to be a councillor? So we'll be running council event elections every year after the last yearly event. So the next one will take place after event 7 before Christmas. So once we've had a couple of weeks to recover from event 7, they'll kick up the election process, and there'll be information online about how that goes and everything like that. We have a rule in place that council members can they can be in place for 2 years, but no longer than that. So say if Alex gets re-elected this time, he can do another term, but then he can't do it again. So it just makes sure that everybody gets to have an opportunity to play a council member. And obviously, if one of those council members is killed, there'll be another election for that post individually.
Did we impose limits on the position of king?
King? No, that's Alex's job. That's his unofficial.
Yeah, it's a non-elected position.
Self-elected position.
I declared it, and it is so.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fair to say the first one was a lot of fun. We had loads of sort of debate online. We had political backbiting. Loads of videos came up, like sport videos, and then people doing really nice, like techie videos with like backgrounds in them and stuff. And it was just a whole lot of heap of fun. It was just something nice to do over the sort of winter period when there weren't a lot going on. So the other thing about the council members, so the position that they get, it doesn't give you anything special in terms of like special items or special abilities or anything like that. Nothing at all like that. It's purely there for you to have fun with and for you to help everybody else in the game have fun. And it's purely there to sort of you can play that heroic persona that either leads from the fun or manipulates from behind the scenes, or whatever you want to do. But when you're playing an actual event, you don't have any more authority than anybody else that's of the maximum rank in your area. You would hope there's a little bit of inferred sort of leadership, but that leadership has to be earned from the players. You can't just tell players to do things as a council, and that's a key thing we put in place to stop that being abused. But as I say, it's a role that if you want to be a council, you want to be because you want to get more involved in the game, and you want to like push the game along and the plot along, and push the plot in the directions that you want to see it going, and also help the players the rest of the players have fun, and the new players come in and get a decent shot at doing things and learning how to play at their class and things like that. So the other thing the council does is they determine how the bunker runs day to day. So they determine the resources, rationing, all that kind of things, and they also sort of look at the hit list of issues facing the bunker and deal with those. So this is just a bit of a sort of thing of what the council gets access to. So they'll look at this information between each event. We used to do it sort of monthly or bi-monthly. We've decided that's far too much work. We just do that once between each event now, and it gives us everything we need. So you can see down here, you've got critical, major and minor issues. And obviously the critical ones are usually the ones that the next event will be about. Because if you don't solve them, you're probably not going to be there for much longer as a bunker, and as a person within a bunker, you're probably going to be alive. So they're the ones to solve, and then you've got major ones. So these will probably crop up within the event, maybe not the driving force of the event, but sort of crop up. And then you've got minor stuff that if the council don't do anything about these, it's going to affect the running the bunker, but it won't necessarily crop up in the event unless the council wants it to, or players drive it to. Like a player might take it upon themselves to go and try and find the water supply or get a pump sorted out, whatever. And that could potentially solve that problem. Or the council might say, right, we're going to have a mission to go and sort this water supply out. So these are all items that the council can say, right, at the next event, we want to do X to solve this. And that's what that's about. And then this up here, all sort of resources that you have access to is collated and determined, and the people that's in the bunker and on the surface all goes into some Excel numbers, which you don't need to know about, but basically that spits out an input and an output, a cost and a resource, and that balance it, and the council has to balance the rationing to make sure that the bunker can continue to supply what it needs to supply. And these lower percentages have effects, as in the lower they are, they have effects on the health of the population, the morale, etc. If you can get them up to like 100%, obviously it'd be like utopia. But down where they are now at sort of 55, 60%, it's not helping the morale of the bunker. You've got crime, you've got black market sort of taking precedence, things like that. And these are all things sort of going on behind the scenes that players can get involved in if they wish to. So you want to add something to that, Alex?
was going to say, and you can see that we need to do farming.
Yes.
More
Yes.
farming.
Farming in the water. But if you look at this scale, it's although power looks massive, because it's self-scaling, your power's only at 106%. It's only 6% above capacity, so it's interesting that it's very finely balanced at the moment. But yeah,
We need to trade for more rabbits, but Mehmet won't like that.
We don't need to trade for anything. We just need to take it from those service simpletons.
yeah.
Who know how to farm, and we should probably get them on side.
So again, the idea with this is to give ownership of the bunker to the players. What it's not designed to do is just to give 5 people all this exciting stuff to do without the players being involved. The players, if you're aware of this, you can get involved in it. You can talk to your council members. You know, they will allow you to have input into it. And it's. I would hope that going forward, now this is sort of like been tested over the last event or so, it will become a source of discussion at the events as well, in terms of these are the issues, and I would hope that Alex and the other council members will be sort of pushing that out. Okay. That's about it. Any questions on any of that? I think we've thrown quite a lot in there. That's I think there's a lot of stuff bureaucrats get involved in, but it's for that last bit certainly for everybody. But yeah, it's hopefully that sort of tops and tails the humanities and experience what we're trying to give.
You mentioned there's a new rule book. Is that on the website yet?
It's everywhere, mate. It's on the website. It's on the Facebook. It's every share has been updated.
So we can talk about that. There is a minor set of updates coming within the next 2 weeks, just off the back of conversations that the rules team and then the GM team had yesterday. Just fleshing out a few of the skills that were a little bit out of balance with some of the other ones. The major change, which is an interesting one for a lot of people, I'm sure, is that we are introducing basic hacking as a general skill for all classes. We've kind of come to the conclusion that it's such an important part of the world that almost everyone within Bunker Ascendant, that everyone's got a pad, or has access to getting a pad. People are going to learn basic computer use, and it's going to be much more prevalent than it is in the real world. So basic hacking lets you, crack someone's Windows password and, open some, standard Excel protected documentation and stuff. That's the level that basic hacking will give you, but it just allows the GM team to include more of those type of tasks on missions to make it much more realistic, because you wouldn't just, we don't want to make that experience exclusive to a limited number of people, which it is currently. In fact, there are no current people. There's one player with hacking attending the next event currently. So there will be an option, I think. We haven't discussed it with Steve yet, so he doesn't know. But there'll probably be an option for existing characters to swap out one of their skills to take basic hacking should they wish to do so.
Does it increase my damage or health?
No.
No.
I don't want it then.
It's not for everyone.
But you could be the guy that says, Hudson, run a bypass.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't need to be. But he is the guy that says Hudson, run a bypass, and he just points at someone else and makes them do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes them Hudson.
Yeah, so
surely what Hudson does is a bit more engineering than hacking.
Yeah, it is, to be fair, mate. It is, to be fair. But I think it's just a good example of that. We can all come up with examples where each of the 5 classes would be involved in hacking. So we just think it makes sense to make it a general. I think the other major one is we're now having signature skills. So the basic skills that each class has, one or more of those skills will be flagged as a signature skill. What that means is other classes cannot take them. And this is to stop some combos which make it more attractive to be, for example, an engineer that can shoot a gun better than a soldier. So, for instance, one of the first skills that were discussed to be a signature skill was marksman. So engineers and other classes can no longer take marksman. It is a very powerful skill because it ups your damage rating by 1, your damage step, should I say. and I think there was an issue where an engineer could take proficient marksman and then has all the skills to permanent engineer his gun and jury rig at every event, and be basically putting out the top damage outputs at every event, which is not the intention. The engineers are there. They can do that. By all means, mod your own stuff, and there's nothing against that. But they're also there to help the soldiers be better at their jobs. And there shouldn't be, or should be a fringe case that an engineer is out shooting the soldier, basically. And out armoring the soldier and things like that. So another one, for example, is free study for scientists, which lets them to basically pick up anything they want, even if it hasn't got a QR code, and say, oh, I'm going to bag this and take it back and study it and maybe get some study points, or start a new line of scientific study. We're going to make sure that no other classes can do that, because it's such a sort of key core concept for the scientists. So there's a few of those coming. There's at least one coming for each of the classes. Bureaucrats will be contacts, because we just can't let other characters have that skill, because nobody's done it yet, but we don't want to let anybody else have that, because it's like, if you're a bureaucrat, you do contacts. It's sort of what you do. So we're taking that out of the equation. We'll come back to you on the other ones, and that update will be coming soon. Was there anything else, Dave, from that review? I forgot. Nothing. Well, just a couple of minor tweaks.
I think everything else was just small tweaks. Those were the two big ones.
Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts on the signature skills from the players we have got on, long-term players?
Sounds like a good idea to me. I think possibly the one about medics where they reprogram nanite patches, that might be their one.
Good call, Alex. Good call. Absolutely perfect. Because again, that's their way of making money, basically, isn't it? That's their way if they choose to use it like that.
Essentially, you think a medic and you think that you're the healing person, but effectively anybody can be our medic by having the box and pressing the button.
Yeah.
But having
you're probably right. That's probably a good shout.
Load the box makes you a bit rubbish. Whereas being able to reprogram the nanite patches, that's medic all over for me.
Yeah. And I think the one we're talking about for engineer, or one of them, if there's going to be one was jury rig.
Jury rig, again, for the same reasons, right? It stops at the minute, there's nothing to stop a soldier taking jury rig and doing it the other way around. You don't have as much access to all of the other crazy engineering skills, but you could quite easily do that, especially as one of the proposed changes that we're just kind of talking about, it's not set in stone yet, is that because skills like jury rig have increased in cost, there may become an option soon where someone with the jury rig skill can perform one jury rig without cost per event, whether that's on their own stuff or on someone else's stuff. So again, having other classes gain access to that, and it just takes away a bit from the game. So in my mind, I think jury rig's probably the key skill, the signature skill for engineers.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Steve? Is Steve still on? Has he gone? He's gone, I think. All right. No thoughts from Steve. But yeah. Any other questions? No? Oh, good. Well,
Bex just unmiked herself.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, who is it I can talk to about? I've got 5 points to spare and I just don't know what to spend it on.
As a bureaucrat?
Yeah.
You've just heard me wax lyrical about all the good ones.
I know, and I don't know
what have you got so far?
take.
What have you got so far?
Have you got it done?
Yep.
And firearms. So that's.
Ooh.
So it's going to be salvage, deal maker, or drone transport, really, isn't it?
I would say so. Yeah.
Like hacking.
Hacking for sure.
Hacking.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the hacking mechanics. The GM team have talked about this almost more than anything else, I think, in the last few weeks or so, to come up with the way that it's going to work. It's like the idea kind of came off of Chris started it with a concept, and then a few of us have kind of bandied around it a little bit. But essentially what's going to happen is that prior to an event, anyone attending with the hacking skill currently will be told to install a particular puzzle game from the App Store or the iStore. And when you click on that you have access to the hacking skill, it will say, right, complete 14 levels at difficulty medium to complete this task. Or complete this ludicrous task, it will probably take you a day. because some of them are, quite frankly, ridiculous.
There won't be any of
I
them to
am not
start
a
with.
puzzle person.
There won't be any of them to start with. They'll be quite basic.
It's more like that, but it's just apps. They're not complex puzzles. A lot of them. They're things like imagine stuff like Candy Crush or the one where you move the boats around. You know, they're not complex. Well, more complex tasks will be more complicated, but it'll just be versions of those.
Yeah.
Those.
So basically, what we'll do is we'll start off with the really easy ones, and then the easy ones will crop up again for stuff like the easy sort of hacks. And you know, if it's a certain type of hack, it'll be that sort of level of difficulty. But then the more thingy stuff, it'll be the sort of like bigger. So what it is, it's basically you've got a load of coloured dots on the screen, like 2 red, 2 blue, 2 yellow, 2 pink, and you have to join them up without the lines crossing each other, a bit like Tron. So you have to join the lines up on a grid, and that's it. You just put your finger on them and join them up. And the other one is potentially a sliding picture puzzle, which again, it's the sliding picture puzzle. We can incorporate that into the QR code, so you never actually come out of the QR code. It's part of the website. But the one that Chris and Duff have come up with is the one where you go to the separate game, which is, it breaks immersion a little bit, but we think it gives you a good representation and time taken to perform the hack. But the ones that Dave's talking about, like the all-day ones and stuff, they will be exceedingly rare. Trust me on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, the one that Chris tormented us with yesterday and was like, I was thinking about putting this one in. I'm like, that will take 3 hours. Currently, I'm one of the few players with hacking, so no, get stuffed.
Yeah. And obviously,
I was very grateful for that input.
Yeah. They'll be means tested by the GMs as well in terms of the time taken. So the thickos at puzzles like me will have a go at it, as well as the people that's actually any good of them. So, you know, we'll say, we think this should take about 5 minutes. It took me 7 minutes. It took Chris 3 minutes. It took Dave 4 minutes, and then we know it's about right. So, yeah.
Back in the day, we had a whole bunch of Game Boys with Tetris and Dr. Mario for exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as having the Poppet.
The Poppet, yeah, the Poppet's really good, mate. The Poppet is really good. That is a clever way of doing it. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, hopefully that's we give it a run, and with the hacking stills going into general, and there it will stay. The mechanic behind it, we'll see how it goes at Event 7. I won't say there's going to be loads of sort of hacking activities to do, but there will certainly be some. But if people are finding it too difficult or too heavy going, feed that back to us. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun. And if you're having problems with it, feed that back to us, and we'll look at different ways of doing that, and we'll ensure that doesn't affect your sort of enjoyment of the game.
So my suggestion, Beck, I would take either salvage or if you don't want to do hacking, then either drone transport or salvage would be my recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, drone transport is a corker. It really is.
Yeah.
And don't you need salvage to have drone transport, or is that contacts?
No.
Contacts. You need contacts.
Yeah, you need contacts for drone transport.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you take drone transport, does that mean you have to go down the merchant?
No.
None
Okay,
of the general skills in any class. So none of the core skills force you to make any changes, any route at all.
Okay, that's cool.
There are some that, like, for example, if you didn't take any of the drone transport and negotiator stuff early in your career, and then you decided to become a merchant, you might struggle to find points to buy all of the skills in merchant because you're going to not have the prerequisites for some of the earlier stuff. So it's always.
However, remember, you can always get an augment to redo your skills anyway.
You can get one augment to maybe do it if she doesn't charge you through your teeth.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any more? Okay, we shall call it there then. Thank you very much for the guests that did turn up. I hope that's give you a bit of a better idea, James, on what the crack is.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Certainly, the idea of hacking does actually fit in with the concept I've got. But I will certainly go and find this new guidebook, and once I've got that, I will create my character. And I will try and actually book, which will probably be a start.
Yeah.
I think as well. I think this is the presentation we've done where we've had the most members of that class on as people as attendees.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, sound. We shall call it there then. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. We will be doing another session, which we've come up with, which is going to be a sort of a wrap up. It's going to be the last one we do before Event 7. It's going to be a wrap up of the sort of the plot to date, the current bunker standpoint, what the crack is with all the factions, just so anybody new coming to the game has got a bit of a you can get this information because if you read the background document that takes you all the way up to Event 6, but we're just going to go a recap of that. And what I want to do is get as many of the long-term players on I can, and just let them give a bit of their own account as well of things that they think that we need to be doing as a bunker to progress the bunker and keep things going. So if we get like the likes of Alex and Dave and Mehmet and Becky, Alice, well, any of the existing players that's played more than one or two events, I think that information would be really good to pass on to the new players so that they come into the game with the knowledge that they would have as a bunker inhabitant. They would know these things have happened. They would know the trials and tribulations. They know about the terrorist attacks. They know about sort of the situation with the tribes, how it sits politically and all.
I think we've lost Longy.
So
that is the best.
Yeah, that is the best pose.
Amazing. Someone screenshot it immediately.
Am I back?
We lost. Oh, we've lost him again.
He's back now. Yeah, you completely locked out there, dude.
Yeah. What was I doing flailing arms thing?
You were just doing this.
It was good.
I'm keeping it up.
Nice. But yeah, so we're gonna sort of have like a half an hour talk about where we are up to date and give each of the sort of longer term or any of the existing players an opportunity to talk about things from their character's perspective and how they see Bunker Ascendant at the moment and what's going on. So hopefully people enjoy that as well.
I quite like the idea of doing a like a council con, where they have the panel where they get the cast from Friends on or whatever, and people asking stuff from the audience. So you have all the council members.
I'll have to dial in remotely for that one. But yeah, I'm up for it.
I think, Alex, if you'd like to do that as that type of format, I'd be completely happy with doing that because I think getting the council more sort of in front of people is always a good thing.
See, I don't mind if we do it in character, out of character, or a combination of the two, if you see what I mean, and just have that sort of.
If it's out of character, I can definitely be there. If it's in character, I'll have to hack my way back into Bunker Ascendant Network.
Well, yeah, out of character then. As I say, it's almost like.
Did you know Ace has turned me off?
Turned you off?
Yeah, outrage.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, stupid AIs. Burn them all down.
All I know is I've spent my downtime actions trying to farm.
Nice.
That's my overriding aim.
I moved some rad showers. I tried to engage in diplomacy, and then Ace has turned me off.
I'm there like going, oh, what's this new mission? Attack the hive. We'll do this or that or the other. I'm like, what about the potatoes, people? Right, anybody think about potatoes?
Will let somebody think about the potatoes?
Nice. Right. Okay. Thank you very much all for that. It's been
Thank you all.
very entertaining one. So yeah, catch you all later.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you.